just finally goes live.
Ninja launch. Hey, I thought that was a productive conversation for the freaks to hear.
I don't see it on Twitter yet.
Let's see. I'm gonna hit record here for the podcast. Here we go. Welcome, freaks. Rabbit hole recap. What a hell of a week. Anything been going on this week?
Oh, we are live.
Yeah. I told you we're live.
Classic Marty.
Yeah.
Cheers, freaks.
I'm going sober this week. Cheers. This is water.
Going mezcal. It's a mezcal kind of year.
I like that. Mezcal kind of. This is in a champagne bull run for you?
It's never really a champagne. It's more of a... Champagne is more complimentary. It's not really a base alcohol. It's more of a popping, social kind of environment. Like it's different. Champagne will still be involved. We will still be popping bubbly this bull cycle.
It's more experience than substance with the champagne.
It hasn't really happened yet, but we're every day we're getting closer to moon culture.
Yeah. How's nature culture? I feel comfortable talking about this because you posted a picture on Twitter.
Yeah, I'm in a cabin in the woods. There's a buck on the wall over there, but I couldn't. I'm in the loft, so you can't see it. But it's great out here. It's good to be. I don't know. I always love it in the woods. It's truly peaceful and relaxing, without all the bullshit. So, and it's really cool that I can just broadcast out to all of you freaks out there, from this cabin. I mean, if you look at 2021, like we just hit the ground fucking ripping. Since the new year started, I did a live stream event with Bitcoin Magazine. I did Citadel Dispatch on Tuesday. Then today we ripped with Jack Mahler's. I'm excited for the freaks to get that rip, which we're going to release tomorrow. And then I immediately jumped into the Casa Key Fest, and now I'm here now. So no sleep till 2022. Let's fucking go.
Jam-packed day. Jack Mahler's gets extremely passionate in the conversation we recorded earlier today. Incredible episode. Be on the lookout for that. Jack's doing incredible things. We're going to talk about a couple of them tonight. But before we do all that, we got to do what we usually do around here, and let's go check out Clark Moody's Bitcoin dashboard. Currently, the price of Bitcoin is sitting at $39,040. It's a huge dip. I know Matt has set a target for 40,000 by the time we finish recording today. So let's see if we can make that happen. You're going to get 2,561 sats per dollar. The cuck buck just simply isn't going as
we
far
already
anymore.
Hit 40K. We hit 40K while we were recording with Jack. So I really wanted to break 40K while we're recording live. Like that's what I want the freaks to prepare your stacks. Let's make this happen. Let's get over 40K while we're live. First RHR of 2021. I want to break 40K live.
Are we stacking on air?
Yes. Only kind of, right, because Marty. Twitter, the Periscope feed didn't work.
Oh, dang it. Why is that?
We're on YouTube only. Whatever. We have YouTube freaks with us.
Subscribe if you're listening on YouTube.
We can stack on air.
All right. We're going to stack on air if we're trying to get it pushed above 40. Stack responsibly. Currently sitting at a $726.2 billion market cap, or 0.7265 trillion. It's probably a better way to put it. Approaching $1 trillion. A lot of people were cheering on the overall cryptocurrency market breaking $1 trillion yesterday. Interesting development, currently one Bitcoin is going to get you 20.1 ounces of gold. We've shot up to Bitcoin attaining 5.78% of gold's total market cap. There are currently 18,593,812.9 Bitcoin that have been distributed to the network. You got to take out the Lightning Network capacity, since private channel, especially after our talk with Jack today, just showing the public capacity, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Of course it makes sense. I mean, we can only see public capacity. We can't see private capacity. I'm trying to stack, by the way, with my phone, but when my phone gets near the mic, it makes the noise. So that's why I've been on mute. But public capacity matters. You just have to know that there's like this shadow network of massive private channels that exist that we can just never know about. Like people, unless you're one of the two participants in that channel, you will never know about it.
Yeah, there should be an asterisk though. Like, hey, there's more activity beyond this. I'm just going to put that out there. Good time to be a miner. I forget who tweeted it out. Somebody tweeted out a chart that mining profitability has been, I think it was like 33 million in one day a few days ago. It's the highest it's been since 2017, which is good to see. Right now, the average fees per reward is 8.97%, so that's going up around 6.2. Bitcoin getting close to 10% there. Right now, the mempool, according to Clark's dashboard, there's 43,187 transactions in his mempool. If you're willing to wait a week, according to Clark's dashboard, you're going to get 1 sat per byte transactions. Are they going to clear, Matt?
I just stacked. Let it be known. I hope the freak stacked with us.
I had to finish my stack. I got caught into something.
This is all gravy. It's all gravy until we're still early until Elon prices his wealth in sats.
Samurai, considerable jump up here. 2,186.77 Bitcoin in unspent capacity. That's $85.3 million in overall liquidity. Wasn't that at like 19 last week?
Yeah, and the US dollar amount is fucking exploding as well. It's extremely fucking bullish.
Yes.
People get hyped about funny things on Twitter.
Well, there's a lot of things to be hyped about.
Yeah, everything's good for Bitcoin. There's some things that are just, underhyped. That's all.
I agree. Is there anything
Noah
else?
Leibowitz said he would stack, but he's already fully exposed. I would say you should consider putting on pants because we do have decency laws in this country.
Yes. Put your pants on, Noah. Don't be a slob.
Stay humble, freaks. Do the math right now. Do the math. If Bitcoin flash crashes to $28,000, pull that straight out of my fucking ass. Will you be all right? Can you just hodl your sats and just sit tight and continue stacking? If the answer to that is no, you're overexposed. You need to be careful here because it could happen. I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't care if it happens, but that's the point. You should be in a situation where it shouldn't matter.
Agreed. Don't get stressed out about this. That's why we harp on dollar cost averaging, setting that plan, treat it as a savings account. Takes a lot of stress off your shoulders. That's it. Like, that's another thing. Like, it's arguably, if Bitcoin's going to do what it has done in the past, or even surpass expectations of what it has done in the past, this is just the beginning. Like, and think about how distracting the price is these last few days alone. What are we up $21,000 in 21 days or something like that? I saw.
Nobody knows. I mean, obviously, people know. It's the best. Open water Bitcoin is the best fucking thing ever. Waking up in the morning and try and have the self-control to wait 15 minutes before seeing if your net worth is up 10% or down 20% is the best fucking drug ever. And don't let anyone else tell you otherwise.
I mean, it's a great drug. It's very distracting, though. That's why, I don't know if you put this on the list, but I wanted to write about AJ Towns, Anthony Towns, Bitcoin Core contributor, the blog post that he released yesterday. And I think as this price is going up, I mean, it's incredible. It's a $40,000 right now. Again, up something like $21,000 in the last 21 days, potentially more now. I read that tweet earlier this morning, so I think we've gone up since then. Getting a dev's perspective on the state of the protocol through their eyes. Again, this is one developer, in his opinion, AJ Towns, but I think it was a great piece to help put this price run in perspective and where the protocol is from a technical level. And I really liked the things he's deciding to focus on in 2021, which is making the network more robust against things at the PDP level, like ISP attacks, and making it so it's easier to get on and off Lightning via things like L2. So still have to get work done here, freaks. You can't get distracted by the price.
Bearish. I mean, I love Anthony. He was kind of bearish on the price, huh?
Right. Well,
I kind of love that, because I was talking about it last week. I love the bear markets because the bear markets, us Bitcoiners, we can just say with absolute conviction, that Bitcoin's designed to pump forever, and we could be contrarian about it. And then you enter this kind of zone that we've seen for the last couple of weeks, where just like everyone and their mother was like bullish Bitcoin, Bitcoin's great and stuff. And now finally we've moved up enough that idiots are coming out and calling the top. Not calling you, Anthony Towns, an idiot. I'm not saying you're calling the top, but we've seen so many people come out and call the top on Twitter, on Bloomberg, on CNBC, and now we can fucking shun the non-believers again. You know, we're finally back in the territory where we can be contrarian bulls.
Yeah. Stuff the haters in the lockers. And I think we talked about it last week. This feels, you never want to be the one to say this time is different, but in terms of, so that's, I guess that's a good discussion to have. Like, do you think in terms of volume of people, number of individuals getting into Bitcoin is where it was during the retail mania of 2017, or do you think it's simply much fewer individuals driving a ton more volume into the market, or a combination of both?
I don't know if I called him Anthony Towers. I don't think I did, but the people in the comments are heckling me. So if I did, apologies. It's Anthony Towns, and everyone should go read his Bitcoin in 2021. It is a really good piece, and his last year one was fucking fantastic.
Yeah, he described the funnel, and he thinks the funnel base is stronger now, which is good to see.
But to just go back to it, I mean, I like, is this time different, Marty?
I want to say yes, I do, but I don't want to be that asshole. So
maybe
I won't.
Once again, and I will just keep repeating this whole fucking cycle until I'm proven wrong, because that's my MO. All cards on the table. We are right on path to be. We're like basically the same as the previous cycle.
That's like, crazy.
It hasn't been much different. Like what we're sitting right now at, like $3,500, $3,600. People would fucking dream to get Bitcoin at that price. Okay, so where do we sit at the end of this cycle? I mean, I'm saying equivalent, right? Equivalent. Where do, like, who the fuck knows? I actually, at equivalent, we're probably even less. Yeah, I did the math a little bit wrong there. Equivalent, we'd be at like 2,700, 2,800 if you talk about relative to the previous all-time high of the previous cycle. So of course, you know, but we're going to call top. We're going to call top at 2,800. That's ridiculous. That's fucking ridiculous. People cannot even contemplate where we could go here.
Yeah, mid six figures, freaks. Don't. It's not out of the realm of possibility. But is it? And let's get into friend and family indicators here. The text I've been receiving in recent days, a lot today specifically, is like, when's the pullback coming? And that's usually signs that a pullback isn't coming. When you have these people waiting on the sidelines, I just had to keep telling. Same advice as always. Just buy a little bit and buy it on a consistent basis. Don't try and time it. So nobody listens. Few people listen.
So my goal with Citadel Dispatch is to try and make it more technical, but ultimately the idea is like trying to do like actionable, like real actionable Bitcoin discussion. And because we had Bitcoin's birthday and I did this live stream event with Bitcoin Magazine about self-custody and self-sovereignty, which all the freaks should go watch if they haven't. I think it came out really great. And I'm really grateful for all the people that participated in that with me. I figured I'd go maybe less technical with Citadel Dispatch this week. So Citadel Dispatch this week, I had Dergigi and Croesus BTC on. And one of the things we tackled was this idea of stacking sats, right? And dollar cost averaging versus going just all in. And like how new users should approach that and how new Bitcoiners should approach that, how they should tackle their FOMO and the regrets of shitcoins. So if you are a freak and you haven't listened to that and you are asking yourself, do I stack? Do I just go all in? Do I leverage my home? Don't, take out a huge loan and put it into Bitcoin? Don't do that. Go listen to Citadel Dispatch or watch it on YouTube. And I think you could get something out of it. That was the goal.
Yes. And I hopped into that for as long as I can. I think Croesus did make a good point at one point. Maybe he was steel manning himself and I only heard a blur, but once these bull markets do start, something you have to take into consideration is the multiples that the coin is making in such a short amount of time. And I think Parabolic Trav tweeted this out too. Like if you miss like a 300% run and the price floor gets like ends up being above that, like you miss out on the potential for that long-term stack. So like if you are wanting to get in, you're in it for a long enough time frame. Like that's the mindset you have to have. You have to have, I'm going to get in, I'm going to stay in for 5-10 years. And you'll find that time horizon grows by decades once you get more comfortable with Bitcoin. But it may be wise to get a chunk and then DCA after that at this point.
So Marty, you're being trolled because you mispronounced Croesus BTC's name. I just want to say that if you're going to create a NIM and you're going to create a NIM that's hard to pronounce, like you can go fuck yourself if we butcher that name. Like we try our best here at TFTC. We do butcher a lot of pronunciations.
Croesus?
It's Croesus. Everyone's making fun of you, Marty, in the live chat.
Well, I hope you're getting enjoyment out of this.
And then the other thing I wanted to say is like, yeah, this is exactly what we discussed. The three of us on Dispatch is 6102 Bitcoin asked us straight up. He was like, new user, what do you put? Do you put 75% of your cash on hand, 50% of your cash on hand, then start stacking? Like, what's the number? And the truth of the matter is no one has an exact number. It depends on your personal situation. But what I have found is that the beauty of the stack mentality is that you actually get off zero. Like the problem is if you're in the mentality, like I'm going to put 90% of my funds on hand all in, you're just going to be waiting for this bullshit dip that never comes. But if you're just putting in if you take that amount that you're willing to put in on a yearly basis and you divide that by 52 for a weekly buy or 365, then you're willing to put it in. It's a way smaller amount. If the price corrects 15%, 20%, you're not going to really be phased by it. And let's talk about like long-term, we're talking way bigger numbers. So if you get in, I know it sounds weird to say it, but if you get in at 38,000 versus getting in 58,000 or getting in 78,000 or getting in at 120,000, probably doesn't fucking matter. And yes, this sounds crazy, but to be honest, I was in rooms with people telling them, if you get in at 3,000 or 5,000 or 8,000 or 19,000, it doesn't fucking matter. And they laughed me out of the fucking room. And who's laughing now?
You are, Matt. We are. Haha. Hi, haters. No, it's so I've been participating in the weekly Bitcoin meetup on Clubhouse, and that's actually been a very very like illuminating and like great experience because the crowd on Clubhouse is just learning about Bitcoin. And so shout out to Alex Thorne, Jeet, Terrence Yang, a bunch of others that are participating to that effort particularly. And it's incredible because it's a bunch of people looking to learn, and you're having to sort of explain Bitcoin from first principles and break it down for people. And that actually came up in discussion last night, like how do you get people into stacking sats, and how do you do it responsibly? And like the consensus there too is like chill lightly. A good way to do it is to pay somebody Bitcoin, because then they don't feel like they bought it. It feels like it was given to them, and have them track the price over time, and that'll naturally pique their interest. But yeah, in terms of trying to time the market, just get a little bit and then keep buying as you get more comfortable with it.
100%.
Should we get into the list?
Yes.
The OCC letter. We discussed this earlier today, during our conversation with Jack. So, for you freaks that are unaware, the OCC, the Office, the Comptroller of the Currency, which I believe is the official name of that acronym, came out with a letter of legal permissibility, basically allowing certain payment-related activities that involve the use of new technologies, including the use of independent node verification networks and stablecoins to engage in and facilitate payment activities, basically saying it's legally permissible for banks to use, by saying independent node verification systems, blockchains is what it's being read as alternatives to money transfer systems like SWIFT or ACH, or any of the other tech they use for moving money. So I thought that was pretty big news. There is a focus on stable coins and basically enabling that use case. But I thought this was overall pretty bullish, and you said it was more.
Before I completely disagree with Marty, he he messed up the Periscope stream, so we don't have a stream on Twitter right now. So if you're a freak watching this on YouTube, I just dropped the link that I tweeted it out, and I dropped the link into our YouTube chat. So if you could retweet that for us, we would really appreciate it, freaks, just to get that link out there. It's underneath the 30-minute warning tweet that we did. Yeah, to the OCC. I mean, everything is good for Bitcoin, you know, and I think we had a really good conversation about this with Jack, who has a company who, you know, this has real implications for him going forward. How these governments respond to using the Bitcoin network. I just think this was very much, you know, we're entering the bull market. When we enter the bull market, what happens is there's a lot of bullshit news that happens that people hype the fuck out of. And I'm not saying it's not good for Bitcoin, but I'm saying like Twitter freaks out. Everyone gets super excited. Jeremy Allaire sends out his tweet thread, you know, blah, blah, blah. And everyone really gets excited and starts talking their book. And I think ultimately this was a blockchain news. This was a shitcoin news. You know, this was the Coinbase chief lawyer becomes the head of the OCC. And of course, he greenlights USDC stablecoin, which is like the two main proponents are Circle and Coinbase. Like, who would have fucking guessed? Like, I'm not surprised. And I'm not saying that it's good for Bitcoin. Everything is good for Bitcoin, but there's different scales, right? Like, is this more bullish than Whirlpool breaking 2,000 Bitcoin? You know, like, is this more bullish than Bitcoin Core new release candidate coming out? You know, like there should be layers here, and I think it got overhyped. I just think it got way overhyped, and I think for the actual practical Bitcoiner that's not like running a business or anything, like it really, if anything, the FinCEN anti-news is worse than this OCC thing. Like I could give two shits if these so-called stable coins have a semi-green light to be run by banks.
I'm okay with the no news from FinCEN, and I'm going to push back. Like, so I think, yes, this legal permissibility, whatever they're calling it, was aimed and written with stable coins and ERC20 tokens and KYC tokens in mind. I'll concede that up front, but the vagueness of the term independent node verification networks leaves open a basically a way for Bitcoin to start ingratiating itself in the banking system. And I think the properties of Bitcoin are such that the banks can go try to use those all their networks, and they may be successful with them. But in terms of moving collateral around the world and having final settlement relatively quickly, I think it's becoming glaringly obvious that the Bitcoin network is the safest, most secure, most liquid network to do that on. So even though it may be focused on stable coins and other blockchain initiatives, I think the vagueness of the term independent node verification network, which includes Bitcoin, opens up the doors for innovative banks, if they exist, to start tinkering with this.
They don't. Like what? Like we're gonna what? You think like this OCC news is what stops Citibank from letting me withdraw sats from my fucking checking account?
I could see Fidelity messing with it. I could see Fidelity taking that, and
but this news doesn't change what Fidelity's been doing.
Maybe it will now. Maybe it would. Maybe it's like, hey, we get permission to create a new rail that competes with Swift. It's a pretty big addressable market. Maybe I didn't feel confident. I'm not saying that. Yeah,
look,
I don't know.
Look, there's going to be many news stories this year that people are going to say are extremely bullish for Bitcoin. And I'm not against going along with that narrative, you know? I'm fine with it. Pump my bags. But I don't, it's just not something that gets me out of bed. It's not something that I think is like really that much of a game changer. And I really have very little doubts that the US government is fine with regulated entities participating with other regulated entities with their compliance pro Bitcoin, like that's not, or their compliance pro stablecoin, like they're completely fine with that. And it is not a risk. I do not, there is pretty much zero chance in my mind that regulated compliance pro Bitcoin gets banned. The risk is a tax on sovereign Bitcoin usage. And I do not think that this announcement has
I would agree.
any effect whatsoever on sovereign Bitcoin usage.
I would agree. But in terms of being forced to use Bitcoin, even in traditional rails, I think it opens the door to that, because it is a superior money transfer protocol compared to Swift and TransferWise and ACH and all that bullshit.
100%. But if anything, like Strike, I mean, and the freaks will see with our conversation yesterday, which tomorrow, which we had today, it's getting released tomorrow morning. I think like an innovative company like Strike that is leveraging those rails to basically eat the existing financial institutions' lunch encourages the adoption of Bitcoin as a payment rail.
Exactly.
Way more than any OCC clarity bullshit, whatever, right?
Well,
like it's a way bigger incentive. It's a strong incentive versus just a.
Well, maybe the OCC announcement gives Strike the opportunity to become a bank at one point in the future, because they're allowed to transfer money that way. I don't know if that's what they want to do, but it's all good. Everything's good for Bitcoin. I think we agree. Actually, on this particular thing. So,
hashtag I think we agree is like my favorite part about RHR.
I think we agree on this. This has been getting a lot of hype. Marathon Patent Group and DMG Blockchain Solutions are teaming up to form a digital currency miners in North America, DCMNA, and launch North America's first cooperative mining pool. A lot of people going crazy about this. I've been getting hit up about this, like, is Great American Mining going to be contributing to this pool? No, we don't plan on it.
Are.
What?
Great American Mining Pool, cuck miners.
We're the cuck miners of the world.
No, I mean, you guys aren't, right? You guys are standing up.
No. So, I mean, I'd be interested to see if they have the 8% or 7.6% of the total network hash rate and we're able to bootstrap a pool like this. But yeah, so the gist of it for any of you freaks who are out of the know or maybe new to Bitcoin, so this mining pool, which are used to aggregate hash rate between a bunch of smaller miners, so that, and the point of that is that so they can get more consistent payouts, so they can keep the bills going and reinvest in their operations. So this one group of miners, I believe Riot Blockchain's involved, Marathon Patent Group is buying a ton of miners.
Wait, I don't think, is Riot involved?
I thought they were.
Let me check. I know it's Mara plus DMG. And DMG, you stated, and I had never heard of them, but I shouldn't have heard of them. You stated you had never heard of DMG. But Mara is big. I mean, they're a publicly traded company, right? Like they really do have the hash rate they say they have, right? Like that's like a big deal that Marathon joined this pro censorship pool.
Yeah, I mean, they have some hash rate and they've bought a lot of ASICs. Whether or not they've plugged them in yet is yet to be determined.
Think they have.
So it's a very crucial part of actually doing anything with that hash rate
before they hatch.
So long story short, this pool is trying to say, hey, we're going to be compliant, meaning they're going to have a white list of addresses and look for certain transactions. And not mine. Yeah, all right, so let's go through the attack vectors of mining pools in this certain situation. So in this situation, Marathon Group would simply mine blocks with and fill it with transactions minus a list of transactions that are deemed dirty by OFAC or other regulators. So they would mine that block and potentially be less profitable, especially if those transactions that they're ignoring come with bigger fees. But in that scenario, they can mine that block, be added to the blockchain, and then another pool could build on top of that block and include those transactions, which isn't a big deal. It's just for this particular mining pool, it's unfortunate for them and their customers at scale. And so that's another discussion. But first, like at scale, could potentially become less profitable compared to other pools. So you're not really doing your clients a service there. But however, like you can miners, if they want to, mining pools, honestly, if they want to, they can do it. If people are willing to point their hash at that particular pool, like that will happen when you get in, but there'll still be other mining pools willing to mine the dirty transactions, where you really get into trouble.
Whoa.
Yeah. Quote, I put
Marty,
quotes.
yeah, but no one can see it in the podcast. He did quotes, dirty transactions. We don't use their I'm breaking the fourth wall, but we don't use their terminology.
My bad.
Never use their terminology.
What they deem to be uncouth transactions. Where you get to problems is if these pools garnered enough hash rate and they started reorging on blocks that included the uncouth transactions. But again, you'd have to amass a crazy amount of hash rate to be able to pull off that attack. It's a very expensive attack due to the probabilistic nature of mining blocks. You'd have to have a lot of balls and take on a lot of risk, upfront capital risk, to pull that off, because even if you are successful reorging a block and the rest of the network realizes that and then reorgs you, and you get into this whole weird situation that's very expensive. So
let's unpack it for a little bit here. Like on a practical level, I think what we see in the short term here is we see these mining pools, these regulated mining pools that are supposed to be pro compliance. We see it almost as them just covering their ass, right? So they mentioned this clean block initiative. They're not going to mine any blocks that have offending transactions per the US regulations. And they're going to have full auditable books, right? So when it comes down to payouts and whatnot, you'll have like a, Ernst & Young or something, like one of the big four auditing firms will say you actually made this money. And so to a degree, it kind of makes sense for the large North American miners to do that. That is fine because the majority of miners aren't a part of that mining pool, and other miners, ideally more self-sovereign miners that are mining without providing KYC information and are located globally, will go and mine transactions that this compliance mining pool won't mine. And this compliance pool will just ignore that fact and just keep building on that same blockchain that everyone has global consensus for. And that's one of the beauties of the transaction fee becoming the main driver of miner revenue, because miners will have a direct incentive to include transactions that have higher fees on them. And transactions that are getting censored will just start increasing their fee to make sure that they get included. Now, the concern is that at a certain level of usage, like if this mining pool ever got any kind of real domination on total global hash rate, that then they could start also attacking so-called non-compliant miners and try and reorg their blocks and compete with them and just push out any offending transactions according to them, right? But in the short term, it's probably just they're not going to like be outwardly attacking other miners. It's one of those things that if you let it stew and you let it like get worse and worse, we could end up in a situation where a couple mining pools together that have like 75% of the hash rate are actively attacking the self-sovereign pools. And that could get really messy really quickly for anyone who values Bitcoin for censorship resistance properties.
Yes. So you take that into consideration. Then you also have to take into consideration how easy it is to move. So just thinking about the whole game theory and how stakeholders would act and react. It's really easy to switch between mining pools. You just switch your hash rate over to one. So they're, again, arguably the non-compliant pools will be more profitable because they're more willing to ban these transactions. And then if they're banning OFAC list transactions now, all right, that sort of makes sense. They're like terrorism, quotes terrorism. They're worried about that, but we've seen the slippery slope of the state and when they enact wars on certain things. Like right now it's terrorism, but are they going to blacklist an address because somebody bought a dime bag with Bitcoin.
Well, we don't use the term blacklist anymore.
Yes, I'm sorry. A block list. The so take that into consideration, and then if something like Stratum V2, which shout out to Square Crypto, I don't think we had this on the list. They sent out a grant to an anonymous developer. I forget the string of letters and numbers off the top of my head, but this developer is going to be dedicated on working on Stratum V2 and getting this mining pool protocol to market, and hopefully in a way in which miners receive it well, because this would actually throw a whole wrench in the endeavor of this particular mining pool, which wants to KYC every miner. So you have the central pool taking responsibility for that KYC AML compliance, and that's because they're constructing the blocks and then divvying up the reward. But theoretically, if something like Stratum V2 gets implemented, that dynamic switches where the individual miners within the pool are able to construct the block template and then set the motions in place to have the rewards divvied up. So in that scenario, where you really don't have a central authority doing the block construction and everybody is sort of doing it in a very distributed way, you'd have to have every individual miner KYC AML every other miner and within the pool contributing hash rate to that pool. So that's like a logistically impossible task, I would say.
So the current situation we're at right now, and I apologize to the freaks if you hear in the background paper crumbling. It's my lady is building a fire behind me. So right now we have like we have a loose game theory. So we have these mining pools, and they're these centralized operators, and they provide a centralized they provide a centralized point of control where they're constructing the blocks, as Marty said, and they can be pressured into doing these kind of censorship things because they're known entities. We have on the list that Brains just did they took slush pools. They bought out slush to have full slush pool control. They're public actors. They know, everyone knows who they are. They have books. They have bank accounts. They live somewhere. Their governments know where they're located, and they could be potentially pressured. And the loose game theory we have is that the individual miners can then opt out. If slush pool or BTC pool or something, BTC.com pool, one of these pools acts out, those miners can switch. But the problem is they can only switch after the fact. So it's kind of like a Mexican standoff type of situation where there's the threat that they could leave if the mining pool acts out, but it only happens after any kind of negligence happens on the miner side and on the mining pool side. Stratum V2 completely changes that dynamic. So we could have, in a Stratum V2 type of situation, we could have one or two pools, but because all the miners, the individual miners are going back and they're the ones that are actually constructing the blocks, it completely takes away that central point of failure, that pinch point where regulators are able to hit them and compel them to do these types of censorship.
Yeah. So so Stratum V2 is sort of a extrapolation on Matt Corallo's Better Hash protocol, which we've been covering for feels like a couple of years now. And again, shout out to Square Crypto for funding a developer to focus on that, and shout out to the Brains team, number one, Pavel and Jan, and everybody else at Brains. They do incredible work to get the pool going, and then on top of that, the firmware. And they announced a couple weeks ago that they're getting into hash rate markets, which is going to be interesting to see. But yeah, it's and they've been working on Stratum V2, so got to give a huge shout out to them. Like, this stuff that many people don't think about a lot, but has like a profound impact on the game theory and Bitcoin's robustness. I think Stratum V2 would be a huge win. So like, again, that's what I try to get out in the newsletter today. Like, well, even though the price is ripping, don't get complacent. There's still plenty to get done.
So let's take this back, right? We've only just begun this episode, but let's take it back. Like, this is why, like, the OCC news doesn't really get me going.
Yeah.
So if we got Stratum V2 integrated in a couple major pools, even if we just got it integrated in Slush, which is a smaller pool, but they fight the good fight. They have a fantastic reputation. I expect them to do it first. Maybe we'll have Blockstream's pool get involved in the beginning. Like, we get real practical usage of Stratum V2. That is bullish as fuck. That is way more bullish than this OCC news. If any, I mean, I love Taproot as much as the next guy. Stratum V2 might be more important short term than Taproot. Like, mining has always historically been like one of our big vulnerabilities. Like, this idea that we have to get past this critical mass point, before we have proper state resistance.
Yes.
And I think Stratum V2 takes us a long fucking way towards that goal.
Yeah. Again, the little fine details that make huge difference. And in a Stratum V2 world, maybe not all individual miners construct their own blocks. So honestly, like, a lot of miners wouldn't feel comfortable doing that and don't feel like they're up to snuff. So they could even take a template from something like a slush pool, or anybody who wants to offer it. However, the enablement of that will lead to, I imagine we would construct our own blocks at Great American Mining if we're contributing to a Stratum V2 pool.
Well, I mean, the way I look at it is exactly the way I look at privacy and Bitcoin usage, and we've talked about this on the pod, right? Is that you build the tools so they're available, right? And really, let's be honest, like, the Stratum V2 adoption will only really happen after one of these relatively larger miners fucks with their miners, like fucks with the individual users of their pool. And once that happens, like, miners learn, they got burnt. They learned, they saw the loss of income, they saw this attack happen, and then they take their sovereignty into their own hands.
Not directly, not the same exact scenario you laid out, but we had something similar where you had the profit switching after the Bitcoin Cash fork, and you have pools going back and forth between the SHA-256 chains. And there was discussions around then because the individual miners within the pools didn't agree with the switching. So, but they didn't really act that much. They kept going along with it from what I remember. So fascinating stuff to think about. Shout out to Square Crypto for getting that grant out there. Shout out to Brain Slush for, so that's another thing. Like, people call it Slush Pool, and it's the first pool, Bitcoin mining pool ever created. I believe it was called something like GMNX, or something. It wasn't called Slush Pool to begin with, but a gentleman who goes by the name of Slush created that and wound up creating Satoshi Labs, which creates the Trezor hardware devices. But Slush has been focusing mainly on Trezor for about 7 years now. I think he gave the reins to Jan and Pavel at Brains in like 2013 or something like that. So they
were called Bitcoin.cz because it was Czech Republic.
Yeah, that's what it was.
It's a fantastic domain name.
Right.
But everyone colloquially knew it as Slush's pool, hence Slush Pool.
Yeah.
And then I guess is that what you just said? In 2013, he sold the majority of it, and then I guess he's officially transferring over full-time focus onto Trezor and the different projects they have going on over there. The main one being their attempted open source secure element. What do they call it? Tropic something.
Can't recall it off the top of my head. But that, it'll be. I mean, like we said, it's pretty miraculous that Slush Pool was the first pool and still around. If you pay attention to the mining pool industry, especially historically throughout the lifetime of Bitcoin, it's been pretty ruthless and cutthroat. We've seen many of the biggest mining pools rise and fall. Ghash was actually one that really tested like some of the game theory walked out.
Peter Todd sold half his coins. Rumored Satoshi sold half his coins on the Gcash FUD.
Ghash, yeah.
Gcash FUD.
So I believe this was in like 2014, maybe.
It was. We were in the bear. We were in the bear of last cycle. We count that as last cycle. And they reached like 52 or 53% or something.
It's 2 cycles ago.
Why?
Because last bear market was like 2018 to
Oh, I guess we just finished a cycle and now we're
yeah,
here.
yeah,
And now we used to not be allowed in the building.
yeah.
But yeah, so 2 cycles ago, I guess, like Peter Todd had this post on Reddit, where he called top, and this is, I mean, in the history of Bitcoin, you can just always just, if anyone calls top, you can just shit on them.
Even
Because
Peter Todd? I don't know if he'd be shitting on Peter Todd.
look, I had good OPSEC back then. I shitted on him with a nim. Um,
Boss.
but I remember the G hash concern, and it was a real concern. I mean, they had like 54, 55%. And the real issue with G hash at the time was they had cloud mining. So a large amount of their hash rate wasn't individual miners that controlled their own ASICs. It was miners that were paying Ghash, and Ghash controlled the ASICs. So Ghash had like full control over those miners. But fortunately, that was only a subset. That turned out to be like 20, 30%. And the majority of the individual miners finally got their act together because Bitcoin was at threat and Peter Todd talked shit, and they moved over and it worked.
Yeah. No, it was interesting too, because I think the G hash operators like, hey, we don't want 53% of the network hash rate or whatever it was at the time. And they like offered ways to like mitigate the amount of hash rate they would take on, and people just left in mass, and it killed that business.
To be clear, we want Peter Todd on TFTC. I fucking
Yes,
love
Peter.
that dude. We would love to have you on here. So I want to put that out there.
Peter, if you're watching, you're a character, one of my favorite in-person Bitcoin stories to tell. I was pointing at the time clock
story
in Union Square that I thought was a debt clock. A young, naive Marty, young and dumb.
A lot of people think it's a debt clock, Marty.
Well, I certainly did in this particular situation. It was very embarrassing. The Iranians are getting into some mining trouble here. The government's starting to crack down. What is going like Iran and the mining news feels like there's something new every week, and this is like, so they're cracking down on illegal. I guess they're trying to get everything above board right now. So they closed 1,620 illegal mining farms that were taking up 250 megawatts of electricity. It's nothing to scoff at.
So, first of all, I hate that it says crypto mining farms. Let's be real here. The majority of them are probably Bitcoin mining farms. Yeah, I mean, look, this is the concern, right? We see in Iran, we see in Venezuela, we see what happens when authoritarians turn against Bitcoin mining and try and make it regulated activity. And this is the result. The result is if you don't play ball with those authorities, they're going to try and seek you out. And the two main ways they do it is through OPSEC fuck ups on just in general. Particularly on the like connecting to pool side and interacting with Bitcoin, and then also power usage. And the power usage thing is one of the nice things about stranded energy is that you're not connecting to a power grid where they can see draw, but they can still. I mean, I don't know how sophisticated Iran is, but I mean, we've seen in America with power usage is another big thing for growing weed. And we've seen them fly. They fly planes and drones and stuff with thermal cameras to seek it out. I mean, I really doubt Iran's doing that, but theoretically, that would be like another concern for black market mining operations, right?
I wouldn't be surprised if they're doing that. No, yeah, this is something Steve Barber likes to focus on a lot. Like in the future, it's going to be all these small distributed mining operations, like
100%.
less than 500 kilowatt ops, just spread across the world because everybody tries to crack down on it. I hope it doesn't get to that point. There's a lot of good benefits of doing mining the correct way.
The correct way, Marty. Yeah.
The correct way, like allowing peer-to-peer transactions to be propagated.
I don't know. You sound like you were defending establishment mining.
No. I mean, like correct in the way it was intended by Satoshi.
So my theory is the reason we'll see it distribute is because there is an incentive for a sovereign miner to mine at a loss for KYC free sats. But the problem is that ASIC life cycles like aren't really long enough yet to make it like practical.
They're getting
But I
there.
think like on a long enough time scale, if like for me personally, like if I could get to a point where I could mine on my own at a 10% loss in quotes, like I would do that just because I have a steady flow of sats that are private sats, right? And a big corporation won't do that. A big corporation needs at least, you know, the most tiny margin ever to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to dissect that right now. Yeah, I mean, yeah, there will certainly be sovereigns mining at a loss.
But they have a competitive advantage there, right?
Yeah, if they're willing to eat the loss, and they're relatively small. Yeah, they'll be able to hide in the nooks and crannies.
And they can also use, I mean, the another issue once again is the ASIC life cycles, but we've seen them grow and elongate here, and the the sovereign miners can better capture excess waste, like not waste energy, waste heat. So you could have a situation like a warehouse full of miners, you can't capture that waste heat. But if you're running 4 ASICs or whatever in your building's boiler, and you're capturing that excess heat to heat the building or heat your home, it's easier to capture that on a smaller scale. In general, it has a diseconomies of scale in terms of capturing that excess heat. So
Yeah.
you get, when you talk about like a highly efficient market, which will be the global Bitcoin mining marketplace, it'll be the most efficient market we've ever seen. If you can get like a couple, like 1% or 2% advantage there as a sovereign miner, be that KYC free sats and excess heat, then maybe it seems like a strong incentive there for it to distribute in my mind.
Yeah, it seems like shipping containers may be a great way to sort of capture, contain, and move that heat. No, yeah, I mean, that's the way it's going. But why not have both? Like,
Oh, we will have both. I'm just saying that I think we'll see sovereign mining happen more as
yeah,
it matures, as the whole ecosystem matures.
100%. People just want to do it for the novelty to be able to say they mine. They don't mind spending $3,000 on an ASIC and just plugging it in.
But like the mining, the evolution of Bitcoin mining is really fucking cool, right? Because you have all sovereign miners, and then you have like this ASIC revolution, right? And then like here we are here, right? And it's like this ASIC revolution, corporate miner revolution, where like we have these massive mining farms, and I think like the next step is like we move back towards the sovereign mining.
Yeah, and that'll come with the commodification of ASICs, as you're alluding to here. Like the physics of how small they can actually make the nanometers on the chip is hitting its limits. So once you have that happen, I believe 5 nanometer factories are like cutting edge right now. Once you hit that threshold where you can't really make step function improvements to the efficiency of the actual ASIC chips, that's when you'll see a commodification of that market, which will lead to what you just described: more people at home, drive down the price. And then you have to really focus on OpEx, like making sure it doesn't overheat and being able to control an operation with very few people and very little overhead. Are you talking with the freaks in the chat? What are they saying?
Yes, I am. We're BR, which it's this weird at name. Tricked me, and he said all-time high during new all-time high during rabbit hole recap. So I went and checked, and it's not a new all-time high yet. So stack harder, freaks. What the fuck, guys?
39,825 just went up $35. Alluded to our conversation with Jack already. Strike Global was announced yesterday, and so last week we talked about our boy Ross decided to get paid half his paychecks in Bitcoin. Strike is helping him do that by auto dumping 50% of the bucks he makes per paycheck into Bitcoin and sending it to cold storage. That was pretty big news last week. This week, Strike's back again with their global product, which allows individuals all over the world to send value basically instantly at no cost right now. And so you can send US dollars to a friend in Portugal, and they can receive euros via the Strike app. There's no dealing with the international interbank bullshit. He uses Bitcoin in between to make it all seamless and possible, and uses Lightning as well. So you're basically selling USD for Bitcoin. That Bitcoin's getting transferred to another wallet. That's then getting exchanged for euros that end up at your counterpart's Strike app instantly. It's pretty insane.
Johnny Knives just asked us, or he didn't ask, it was a statement. We're not allowed to end the pod unless we hit all-time highs. So, freaks, if you value your time, you will stack harder. Yeah, I mean, I'm super bullish on this Strike Global announcement. I think people miss that this is not competing with self-sovereign Bitcoin transactions. This is for our fiat friends who are still in a fiat mentality and still receive their fiat paycheck and have no desire to move to sats yet, but want to interact with the broader Bitcoin economy or want to just send money abroad. So in that respect, this is a game changer. He's using Bitcoin to essentially leverage regulatory arbitrage against his fintech competitors, including our sponsor Cash App. So it's pretty cool to see. If you're interested in this, like I didn't want to waste much more time on this because we had a fucking fire ass conversation with Jack. It's like an hour and 45 minutes, and Marty's going to drop it tomorrow morning for you freaks.
Yes. Subscribe.
Go listen to that.
Be ready to listen to it. This is pretty interesting news. Came out of nowhere this week. Pretty big news. Blockstream Jade, a new Bitcoin hardware wallet that's hit the market. I'm going to test one out, get my hands on one. They're using the M5 stack, aren't they?
Yeah, that's kind of cool. That's my favorite part. So you can we've talked about the M5 stack before for the freaks.
Yeah, I think in relation to the BitBoy, correct? Wasn't Justin using the M5 stack for that as well?
Just in relation to it's fucking cool.
Yeah.
You know, it's like Legos, but hardware. It's pretty open and you can just mix and match different hardware elements and create devices with it. So Blockstream makes it easy for you to just install what is necessary onto that open platform to have your own hardware wallet, or you can buy theirs. It's interesting. You know, it's cheap, which is fantastic. The main goal seems to be is Blockstream just is trying to dog food their own products, and they're you know, they need things for liquid, so it's directly compatible with Green Wallet, which already has liquid compatibility and liquid asset compatibility. You know, I mean, the freaks could guess, like I'm more excited about using it in like a type of multisig, and I think what's really cool about it is it's cheap, really cheap. It does not have a secure element. So it's more similar to Trezor in terms of trade-off balance than something like Cold Card. But in a multi-sig, it could be a very useful signer. Now, the issue is, frustratingly enough, with where Blockstream's direction has been, their focus isn't on it. There's no concrete plan to integrate PSBTs. I assume they're going to, because they're not idiots over there. They're quite literally geniuses.
Right.
But there's no plans for PSBTs right now. So I ask why. Let's make that happen. The second concern I have is that they have Bluetooth integrated, which I understand why they do, is because the only way for Green Wallet to integrate with a hardware wallet, historically speaking, or the easiest way on iPhone, because iPhone doesn't allow you to plug something in via USB cable, is through Bluetooth Low Energy. This is what Ledger did with their Ledger Nano X, because on Android you can just plug it in through the USB, but Apple locks it down, so you have to use Bluetooth. But you don't, because the Jade, their hardware wallet, is a QR first device. It has a camera on the back. It has QR codes on the front. So why the fuck did you put Bluetooth in it? Just make the whole thing QR codes, make it comply with the PSBT standard. Users can use it with Green Wallet and Liquid if they want, or they can add it into their signer mix on Spectre Wallet. Like that's the game plan here. Like that's what it should be. It should be just another signer on Spectre Wallet, in my opinion. And it should just everything should go through QR codes and it shouldn't have Bluetooth. So that's my 2 cents. But it's nice to see another. We basically here now that we have relatively easy self-sovereign multisig between Spectre and also Sparrow and Caravan, all these different coordinators, multisig coordinator libraries. What we need now is we need more signers. Like if you talk about trying to create a 3 of 5 and not depend on a single hardware manufacturer, it's very difficult.
Right.
It's very difficult to have like the appropriate number of signers. So I want to see all these different companies release signers that are PSBT compatible so people can mix and match.
I like that. I agree with that completely. You think the non-PSBT compatibility has anything to do with Liquid? Does that like mix up with it? Yeah, does it make sense? They have a screen, they have a camera. Why wouldn't they incorporate it? There seems to be a standard developing now too.
Because the focus is this is the green wallet hardware wallet. And I think they're providing it so cheap because the idea is that it's like you provide it as a loss and then they like make their money off of Liquid and Green Wallet and the ecosystem or whatever, right? It's the old mentality of looking at hardware wallets. We're entering the new mentality where they're all interoperable signing devices and they need to have PSBT as a standard. I do not doubt that they will, but it was disappointing that it wasn't a hard goal in the, if not completely supported to begin with in the announcement.
So it may be PSBT compatible. It's just not.
It definitely isn't. They would have already said it was if it was, but
okay.
it could be very easily in the future if they fucking put their mind to it.
Yeah, but in terms of, I mean, even if they do want it to be part of their like business stack on top of Green Wallet, like that doesn't. Why would that have anything to do on the decision to go Bluetooth or QR code? Yeah, it looks like a cool product.
The Bluetooth is if you're thinking from a traditional point of view on iPhone compatibility on a hardware wallet, you're thinking Bluetooth. Up until this point, the only hardware wallet that was supported on Green Wallet iPhone was the new Ledger.
Yeah.
Because it had Bluetooth.
Yeah.
So that's probably where it came from. And my guess is the camera got added after the fact. Right? It's like then all of a sudden they were like about to release. They saw like, oh, cameras and shit. And they like put it on the back and they're like, we'll update the software later. Because it doesn't have QR support out of the gate. Even though it has a camera on the back, it's non-functional out of the gate. Let alone it does not have PSBT support, but it also does not have QR support. Yeah.
Beware, freaks. Beware. Again, I'm going to test it out. We'll see how it goes. Bitcoin Core version 0.21.0 RC5. Release candidate 5. That's what RC stands for. Has been released. 5th release candidate. They skipped over release candidate 4 due to a Mac OS code signing issue. But yeah, when are we dropping the 0 before?
I think 21? When it's no longer a release candidate.
Okay. So this was released earlier today.
So this is a testing release.
Yes, because the major release.
Probably the final testing release, but we'll see.
Yeah.
So if you want to help and test it out, we have a link in the show notes.
Yes. Go test it out. We need more testers, more reviewers, more feedback.
Oh, this is awesome. We got Ben in the comments. So I was wrong. It won't be this release. It'll be the next release, 22.0.
Okay.
When they drop the leading 0. Ben, thank you for joining us in the comments so we don't have to correct ourselves a week later. We appreciate you.
We don't have to ask you to respond to our tweets. You can just respond to us in real time and let us know fantastic. We're stupid. Thank you.
We live in the future.
This is incredible. I'm in Mars. I made it to Mars already. I told Elon, I'm not waiting for you, brother.
Hashtag Boomer Marty.
Boomer Marty's in full effect today. Spectre is a major release, version 1.0.0. Came out, so I think the first major release, correct?
Yeah.
For Spectre Desktop.
They dropped the 0. Congratulations to our other Ben. The Bens in Bitcoin are just fucking killing it.
A lot of good Bens. Ben Davenport, Kaufman, Carmen. What other Bens do we have?
And Ben, that doesn't tell you anything. Ben Kaufman joined me for the Bitcoin Magazine event, which is fantastic. So go check that out.
You've been all over the content this week, brother.
No sleep. 2021. Let's fucking go.
And we're not sleeping all year. What's our 2021? Is this when you grow your beard and your hair out?
Oh yeah, the comments are saying we also have MMA Ben Askren.
Oh yes, he's a shitcoiner though.
Yeah, okay, I guess. I mean, he's coming around.
Is he though? Ben,
he doesn't have his own token. I don't know. There's different levels.
There is different levels. Yes, he's a Bitcoin bull.
How about Ben Roethlisberger? Hey, why'd you suggest that, Aristotle?
Ben Roethlisberger. I wouldn't be surprised if he's stacking. That's another thing. Like, all the athletes talking about Bitcoin this week. Tobias Harris
has no sats.
Yeah.
Prove me wrong, Ben.
Prove us wrong. Well, how about Matt Barkley dropping Satoshis in the Bills game this week? And the Bills tweeting it out. It's getting into the culture, freaks. It's getting into the culture. Bitcoin's not going away. We have sats are going, dropping sats, Matt. I know you want to say the whole thing, but like dropping sats sounds better.
Spencer Dinwiddie
from the Nets. I think he might have got injured recently. Hope he's feeling okay.
Yeah, it's sats. It's not Satoshi. Satoshi sounds like a cult. It's too long. It doesn't work. You know?
Sats.
Sats. Sats are the standard. Satoshis aren't the standard.
Matty Sats. That's like a great nickname. You could. Do you want to take that nickname before Matt Barkley? I'm gonna leave it on the table. I'm gonna call him Matty Sats.
That other, what's his name? The radio show host.
Oh yes.
He has at Matty Sats.
Yes, Matt in Seattle, correct?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Yeah. Oh, we missed fully noted. Version 0.2.8 has been released. So you're running fully noted.
Oh yeah, we have BTC sessions. Another Ben.
That's true. Yeah. We already talked about Brains acquiring the remaining stake in Slush Pool. CoinDesk bought TradeBlock. Wow, I didn't see this. This is pretty big news.
Well, this was like they were like laundering companies.
It was
like TradeBlock's main investor is Digital Currency Group.
So it's a DCG consolidation play.
And CoinDesk is completely owned by CoinDesk. So now TradeBlock's a wholly owned subsidiary of CoinDesk, which is a wholly owned subsidiary of DCG, which was their main investor of TradeBlock.
Yes, we've seen this happen before. Coinbase is an A16Z portfolio consolidation company. We've seen that happen a couple times throughout Bitcoin's history. We already talked about Anthony Towns.
And we have Ben Ark, the socialist, another big Bitcoiner Ben. I'm sorry, Marty. I just keep cutting off Marty with Ben's that the chat room is telling us.
I wish I could see the chat.
We're shorting Ben Hunt, who's not a Bitcoiner.
Ben, yeah, man, I can't come to your defense anymore. You're talking nonsense these days.
We have it's bent.
That's true.
Someone suggested that.
Bent.
That doesn't work. That doesn't work.
Ben, it's funny. It's like Ben Hunt thinks all the Bitcoiners are going to get dragged into the street and shot in the head by the government, proverbially, not literally, but it's like, all right. And he's like, isn't he like into shitcoins and DeFi now? Like he thinks that has a better chance.
He was always into like the centralized token things. He just doesn't realize he'll come around. He doesn't mean he means well.
He does.
I'm fine with the guys who mean well and are wrong. They're just fucking wrong. They'll come around. I reject the people like Raul who are like actively attempting to pump shit coins for their own bags and their own benefit.
He's applying Metcalfe's law to Bitcoin. How come nobody thought about that?
Oh my God. I'm just releasing some alpha early. I do like this one by M. Junior Ishoff, Ben Franklin, who is an honorary Bitcoiner.
Fellow Philadelphian.
I think we can say that he would have obviously been a Bitcoiner.
He would have loved Bitcoin. He would have loved it. God. Other founding fathers that would have loved Bitcoin. Andrew Jackson, Thomas Jefferson, Hamilton, not so much, I don't think. George Washington would have been woke on Bitcoin, I'm pretty sure.
Hamilton would have been like Veer.
Well, he's the central banker, right? Hamilton would like the big banks.
I like Hamilton, but I don't think he would have been a Bitcoiner. I liked him before the show hit.
You're not a fan. You're not just like a bandwagon.
It got crowded. I'm not like a fair weather.
Yeah, I was a Hamilton. Yeah, I had to start fading Hamilton after that play came out.
Exactly, right? It sucked. It's like the same thing when Bitcoin pumps. It's like, I can't be the contrarian anymore. It's like,
Right.
it's everyone's favorite founding father.
Yeah. Matt, when's the dip coming?
Um, there is no dip. What is it, like the spoon or whatever in the Matrix?
The spoon doesn't exist.
The spoon doesn't exist. Andrew
Yeah.
Jackson is definitely pro BTC.
Yeah. Yeah. He would have been all over it, running full nodes.
Oh no,
running-
no, I know pro BTC as in like the pro BTC movement that happened. That is not like he's not really a Bitcoiner. He's like kind of faking it.
Andrew Jackson?
Yeah, he's
No,
like
Andrew.
he's like the ultimate status guy.
No, Andrew Jackson was the guy. Well, he may have been a status. No, he was free markets. He destroyed the first central bank.
Trail of Tears.
Yeah, I mean that was pretty terrible.
Right.
He hates the banks.
I mean, I like to think that the Native Americans at that time would be Bitcoiners, and he just made them Trail of Tears.
Right? Yeah, I mean, I'm bringing up
like
the
that
Trail
was like
of
the
Tears.
ultimate executive power ever was Andrew.
Yeah, I mean, yes.
Okay,
but he also he hated central banks as well and destroyed the first central bank of America, or the second.
The live chat right now is just self-congratulating themselves for derailing us. So I just want to say I appreciate all the freaks who have joined us live in the live chat. I think this live chat is the coolest. Is like doing these live streams is the coolest fucking thing ever, and I appreciate you all. But we have to get back onto topic. Like they can't be satisfied here. They're just dropping. They're just dropping one founding father after the next over here.
Hey, stop dropping founding fathers in the comments. This is so boomer. I can't read. I'm getting a new computer set up. The reason I'm not in chats right now is I think my laptop will blow up. So hopefully I can join you guys next week, if not the week after. Last topic. BJ Dweck, Bitcoiner out there, runs Rude Fox. What is Rude Fox?
Oh shit, you just brought that up out of nowhere. I don't know, but before that came out, look up what you're thinking of. Before that was released, he hit me with this, which is his shill, his Bitcoin shill, Bitcoin Explained by BJ Dweck. And it's really good. It's really good. He was doing this private, and I among others convinced him to release it publicly, so people should check it out. It's all on YouTube now.
We're gonna link to
really
it.
Good. He does a really, really good job.
Yeah, and so he's working on that YouTube video, intro to Bitcoin, breaking down how it works and comparing it to traditional system and getting into even more detail than that. Incredible. He's also building a self-sovereignty stack for all with Bitcoin in mind, and it's rudefox.io. You guys want to check that out. He's he's got a library, cold storage solution, a watch only wallet solution, time locked multisig vault tools. He's pushing the cutting edge when it comes to security and privacy too for individuals who want to do it themselves. Do you ever do it yourself, Matthew?
No, never. I only I don't trust myself with my own keys. Let alone run my own node or use my own node. I just think that Coinbase should hold my keys for me, and they should decide what Bitcoin is, and I just feel a lot safer that way.
I completely agree. Brian Armstrong is a very welcoming, warm face, and you see him on the internet and his static face there, hey, I can trust this man with my money.
Nate said Native Americans as Bitcoiners is a bad take. And was I wrong? Was that a bad take? I don't know. I'm going back to it.
I don't know.
I feel like Native Americans are like the ultimate self-sovereigns.
Very low time preference. Yeah, I can't speak. I'm not an expert on Native American culture.
Neither am I. I mean, if I call you a Bitcoiner, by the way, historically honorary Bitcoiner, like that's the ultimate compliment.
Yeah,
like this
you just got to take it. Yeah.
Good take. Thank you, Ben. Ben the Carmen says it's a good take. I have to say which Ben because there's so many of them. Another thing I wanted to shill because they are a freak and I've fucked it up a couple times. And they shilled it the first time in Sphinx, which is dope that they came into our tribe. Like the ultimate freak is silent.link.
Oh yes.
And they reminded me again in the live chat, which, by the way, I wasn't intentionally forgetting. So that was a very effective reminder. So props to you, Freak. And the idea here is that you can get a eSIM compatible phone number based in the UK via Bitcoin, whether that's Lightning or on chain. And what is an eSIM? An eSIM is the modern phones nowadays. You don't actually need a SIM card. I know the Pixels are big on it. The Pixel phones is you don't need a SIM card, so you can just activate that phone number on your phone. The privacy implications are a little bit. There's no KYC on this service. But really, I mean, and probably if you use a physical SIM too, like once you use that phone with that phone number, you should consider that phone attached to that phone number, and you should buy a new phone if you want to switch going forward.
Beware freaks. Yes. What was that? Silent.link.
Silent.link.
Yeah.
And also
really cool service.
There's someone in the comments that has the YouTube name Puppy Sale. So cheers to you. That's pretty Puppy. Dope. My favorite TFTC meme, I think.
Rest in peace to that golden cold card. That brick. It's now a brick. It's actually now a brick. What else we got going on? I'm trying to think of. I mean, haven't even touched on the bum rushing of the Capitol. I don't know if you want to.
The what?
The bum rushing of the Capitol building yesterday.
No, we're not.
Yeah.
I just want to say, thank fucking God that no Bitcoin. Politicians were assassinated after your fucking prediction last week. That's all I can say.
I was getting worried there yesterday. I was getting worried.
But let's not talk about that. I'd rather 2021 we should start. Fuck the politics. No politics.
Well, this is the only thing I'll say about it. And I wrote about it yesterday. Is I just think it was. You literally couldn't imagine a more poetic situation if you're like paying attention to two storylines playing out at the same time, like the collision of the news coming from the Bitcoin world over the last week, whether it be Russell Okung stacking sats, you had Ross Stevens from Stone Ridge Capital writing incredibly lucid and very good. Like the content was incredible and did a great job of explaining Bitcoin to his shareholders. That came out and brought some legitimacy to Bitcoin in the eyes of many. Like I looked at the returns of the Stone Ridge Fund. Some of them are not like crazy good, but for some reason or another, people like to hear this type of confirmation from the institutional investor class. And that 18-page description of why Ross Stevens is bullish on Bitcoin is incredible. Orange pill for anybody who wants to get it out there. Maybe we'll link to that in the show notes. You had that. You had Strike Global come out. Mining rewards are getting back to where they were in 2017. We're at all-time highs, obviously. Just Bitcoin's getting win after win after win. And you literally have the price pumping yesterday as the Capitol building's getting ransacked, and like the juxtaposition of how optimistic and positive things are for Bitcoin right now compared to the withering of the incumbent system that we're so used to it's a sign, freaks. Like what train do you want to get on?
I mean, we're going to talk about, I guess, to me,
that's all I wanted to say. I mean, you can get into it.
So I'm going to say what I want to say, I guess. To me, I think, leave aside any kind of questionable scenarios based on how it all played out. I think the fact Americans protesting is always bullish. I think one thing people don't realize is 95% of Americans are hypocrites on this issue. I feel like I live in a country where every 3 months, the half of America that agrees that Americans should protest switches. Say that if you're protesting, you are my people. No matter what, you are my people. It doesn't matter what you're protesting, who you're protesting for. I don't fucking care. Just the act of protesting is an act of defiance, and I'm for it.
I am as well. And for protesting. Yesterday, but it's just like weird. Like not even the protest. The fact that they got in and that the cops were Like, how does the Capitol building get bum rushed like that? It's either crazy incompetence or something else. And if it's either, it's not a good situation, not a good look for a institution that's supposed to imbue power and control, where Bitcoin is alternative to that and seems to be having wins every
If you're
day.
interested in protesting, the most effectual protest you can do is stack sats and encrypt everything.
Yes, do that. Definitely do that. That's the best protest. And so, like, yeah, you don't need to ransack the Capitol. You don't need to burn down buildings. You can just sit on your couch, stack sats, download a node, contribute to Whirlpool liquidity if you can. It's much, much more potent form of protest, I think we would argue.
100%. It's not even fucking close. And can we talk about how Sats being the safe haven has fucking gone mainstream? Like, I used to be laughed out of the room when I said, I looked back. There's a tweet from me on March 12th where I'm like, fuck you, Sats are my safe haven, you know? And here we are, a little bit less than a year later. And it's like the normie opinion. Is like the normie opinion or Sats or people's safe havens. Like, fuck you. Like, just less than a year ago, like, people like Joe were telling me, our buddy Joe Weisenthal, were telling me that I was fucking batshit crazy, that it isn't true, right? And I want to be absolutely fucking clear here. People say, like, oh, we've memed this into reality. We haven't memed this into reality. The memes were always real. The memes were always real. The memes
were
encapsulated it and predicted it. It showed people the way before it was the common understanding of it. It's just a way of messaging. A strong meme is a real meme. You can't meme something that doesn't exist.
Exactly. It's a condensement of information into something that's very quickly, easily recognizable and digestible and transferable. Bitcoin fixes this, number go up. What do they actually mean? Like, number go up. Bitcoin is a scarce asset that is very hard to change, and it provides a utility that's never been provided to the world before in enabling peer-to-peer digital cash transactions in a distributed system. So that forces, those three factors force number to go up because demand for that service is pretty high and increasing. I mean, if you haven't listened to Bitstein's meme warfare speech from BitBlock Boom a couple years ago, I mean, it truly is.
We were live for that shit.
We were, but like, it's truly, he breaks it down like the think in threes, number go up. Bitcoin fixes this, all that stuff. But I think it is effective. Fix the money, fix the world. That's another. Well, that's not on the list either. Shout out to Crypto Graffiti in the BTC versus Fed team. They're getting a bunch of billboards out in all the cities throughout the United States that have Federal Reserve Bank branches in them. So Philadelphia, Chicago, St. Louis, Minneapolis, San Francisco, Boston. I'm not going to be able to name off. Dallas, Kansas City. Yeah.
I wasn't paying attention, but he's in all the cities, all the Fed cities.
Yeah.
It's cool. And he's back. It's good to see him back on our pro censorship Twitter platform.
It is. No, I was telling him we were talking in DMs the other day. I think it was much better than the Honey Badger money billboard campaign that Roger. Love the Honey Badger money.
The Honey Badger was good.
It was good, but it's like hard to read. Nobody really understood it. I think
Roger can go fuck himself, but the Honey Badger campaign was a good campaign. Okay?
I agree.
No one can take.
But like driving by it, like, what, honey?
He peaked.
What was that? Was that a skunk? Was that a skunk?
Peak.
Was that a skunk? These are like right in your face, and like, again, very few words message right there.
As I said, Roger can go fuck himself, but he deserves credit for the Badger memes, the Badger billboards. The Badger billboards were legendary. They will go down in history.
They definitely will. I think these are more effective, though.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah, that's all I want to say.
It's a different tactic, right? Like the Badger billboards were for the in-group.
Yes.
Right? This crypto graffiti thing, is partly for the in group, but it's mostly for the out group. It's to try and to activate the out group, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
If you're part of the out group, welcome. Coming into this new group, we're passionate about sound digital money in the digital age, self-sovereignty, privacy, and leisure in the woods, drinking mezcal, fire on. Is it getting hot in there yet?
Oh yeah. I mean the freaks. I mean, could you hear the paper?
A little bit. It was nothing. It was
Well, the
charming.
paper stopped, which means the fire's going strong. Yeah, I mean it's hot in the loft. Heat rises. It's physics. JRD could not hear the paper. Thank you, JRD. Appreciate you for joining the live comments. Appreciate all you freaks for both joining us on the live comments and joining us week after fucking week on the podcast feed. That's pretty fucking cool, man. I just love that we just have like, I don't know, we just have our own inside joke community. Like,
It's
how did that fucking happen?
I don't know, some weird coincidence. You start putting content out, people start interacting with it. Hopefully it's good content. Hopefully you guys are liking it. And that's something coming into 2021 with everything that's going on in the world outside of Bitcoin. I'm trying to make an effort. Again, I'm trying to make an effort. I'm a flawed human. I'm going to do my best, but like just to focus on Bitcoin and Bitcoin alone.
Yes.
In the newsletter, and just because I think getting off track is doing anything a disservice, but because I think now is the time to just like put the pedal to the metal, even though the price is going up, and just like drive home the benefits of Bitcoin and highlight those as much as possible as people are in a situation where lockdowns are extended. There's a bunch of people pissed off around the country, like very open to other systems. And this is the time, if you're out there creating content or educating people, to chill lightly and focus and highlight the benefits of Bitcoin as a system and as an alternative to the incumbent fiat shit show that is going crazy. That's why I'm happy to see you on the content grind to start 2021.
You know, fuck it. Let's fucking go to the moon. I'm ready.
Dude, I'm already on Mars. I'm waiting for Elon. He was supposed to send me a car.
There's nothing I'd rather be doing. So, I mean, that's always been the fucking case. And I just realized, like, I mean, it's all. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if there's a revenue model or not. I just want to talk about Bitcoin and then until I die. And I just want to be around the Bitcoiners until I die. And I do not give a shit if it's profitable or not. I just want to do this fucking shit. And I appreciate all you freaks. So we have Dud Bits in the comments, who's been a very dedicated freak, and he wants a Sphinx show. I'm surprised that he doesn't know what Sphinx is. Can you show him Sphinx? Show him what's going on over in our tribe.
So many things going on over at Sphinx. If you're listening on Sphinx right now, thank you. Thank you for streaming us sats. Thank you for contributing to the value part of this podcast. So Sphinx Chat is an app. They have one on desktop and mobile. I believe mobile, you have to get through test flight, at least if you're using iOS at the moment. And it's Lightning enabled, connected, and basically it's a wallet that allows you to connect your node to it, and then you can use it as a messaging system as well. So you can message people in it, and when you're messaging people, you're using the Lightning Network to send the messages and to route the messages. And then on top of that, so we've hooked in our podcasts via the Podcasting 2.0 platform, which is being run by Adam Curry, the Podfather himself. And in the Podcasting 2.0 world, we can plug in our Lightning node public key to our RSS feed. And so Sphinx is compatible with Podcasting 2.0. They pick up our RSS feed. We have a tribe of listeners who are able to join the Sphinx app, get their wallet set up, and then join our tribe to contribute to the podcasts They can the Sphinx app picks up our RSS feed with our public node information into it, and if you go to our tribe and you listen to the podcast via Sphinx chat, you can stream us payments every minute listened, as low as 1 sat, as high as many sats as you want to send us. But it's a beautiful way to basically do a value for value model, but not only that, to utilize the Lightning in many different ways. And so they see this Sphinx chat. If you guys want to go check out last month's board call with the Model team, Paul from Sphinx hopped on there and talked about their vision. This could compete with Slack at the end of the day. Like, honestly, like if you had your own company and you just wanted your own company tribes, you can hook this up to Jitsi and other open source protocols and do much more than just Lightning Network stuff on it. It could be a whole self-sovereign business team suite, but on top of that, like a little podcasting community. It's crazy what Lightning's enabling. Again, the streaming of value. Anybody telling you that Bitcoin never uses a medium of exchange can come look at our node history. We're getting stream payments every day, and it's crazy because they're fractions of a penny. Some of them, like somebody sending 10 sats a minute.
Freaks. It's about incentives. We talk about incentives here all the time as Bitcoiners. The issue with our world is flawed incentives. You talk about politicians, why don't they care? Their incentive model is incorrect. It is short term. It is not long term. With Sphinx, all of a sudden, content producers can broadcast and they can get streamed value back directly from their customer base. Their incentive is to provide the best content to their audience. It's a move away from the ad model, and people don't want to talk about it because we are existing in the ad model right now. But this is Tales from the Crypt, and we will break that fourth wall for you freaks, and we will talk about it. And that is really the ultimate goal of something like Sphinx, is this idea that we can connect directly to you. And our incentive is to provide you the best value. And if we don't provide you the best value, then you go stream your value to someone else. And then all of a sudden your content becomes way better. And that's the goal here. But to be clear, it's a beta. It's a fucking beta product. And there's a lot of, like, I miss messages. Like, I just lose messages left and right. And it's hard to join unless you use your own node. So we're getting there. It's going to be a process, and I'm excited to do this process with you guys.
Could be a cameo for BTC if you wanted to. No, I have the chat up now. I found it.
What, a BTC? What do you mean?
Cameo for BTC, you know, Cameo app.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think ultimately it really is more of an OnlyFans. I think that the real game changer is OnlyFans, but with Bitcoin. So the idea is the thing is, like, once OnlyFans gets too big, it's going to be like Tumblr, and they're going to get censored, just like YouTube got censored. Like, every time a big platform gets big, every time a platform gets big, it gets censored. So if you're talking about adult content, ultimately, you're going to want an uncensorable money, like a distributed platform. And I think really, like, the game changer for Sphinx is going to be OnlyFans. But that it is what it is. I think that's a plus. But, you know, Marty is shaking his head at me. I just want to go back really quick to Jade, Blockstream Jade, because our boy Adam Back, which is a phrase I always wanted to say, my boy Adam Back.
That's my boy too.
Fucking cool. He said that the MCU has Bluetooth already integrated for Blockstream Jade. So the idea was that they were going to use a very common CPU, and that chip already had Bluetooth integrated. So we weren't going to use one that didn't have Bluetooth integrated. So that's why they used the one with Bluetooth. That's his explanation on Twitter. I have no reason not to believe him. And shout out, I don't know how to pronounce your name, but I really like everything you do on Twitter. ESIA Attorney, ESIA Attorney, ESIA Attorney.
Shout out to you, bro. ESIA. Or lady. Where are we at here? Are we almost 2 hours in already?
We're not 2 hours in because it took you a while to launch.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Boomer Marty's a real thing. It's a meme. I don't want to come true, but like, look at this green screen. I got like my camera blocker blending into the screen. My face is blending into the Mars. I'm not on Mars, freaks, if you couldn't tell. Yeah, Andrew Jackson did destroy the second central bank. So
Deadbit said you're actually broadcasting from Mars, and anyone who doesn't believe you is full of shit.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what else. Like, guys, price is going up pretty quickly.
Yo, this is good. Puppy Sale says Marty has never watched porn. He's pure.
It's true, Puppy Sale.
It's not true.
Not once. Yeah, I've dabbled.
Andrew Stottle said no fap stack sats.
Hey, if you get your T levels up, gentlemen. Okay.
03 January 09. Who is a date? He encapsulates a date. Said we've been 94 minutes in. Garvich C said Citadel on Mars or Moon. Jimmy Nye said that's Fiat land behind him. Dudbit said Fab Sats. I don't even
I can see it now. I can see it now.
Oh, you're looking?
Yeah, we have to be cognizant of the people listening into. Are they going to want us conversating with the troll box?
100%. As long as we read out what the troll box is saying.
Yeah.
Then you have to explain what we're reading. I think they're part of the show.
Yeah.
The freaks that join us live are a massive aspect of the show that I want to grow. I want them to be a part of it.
It's true. Thank you, freaks, for joining us.
JRD said we are not the troll box. Fuck you. Troll box is a compliment. Troll box is a compliment, guys. David Havel says Matt respects the chat. Fuck yes, I respect the chat. Who the fuck do you think I am?
Matt loves the chat. You guys are distracting him from the content.
Cole says we are the OG chatters.
Yes. Well, it's not hard to be an OG chatter on this podcast. You're in early, all right? You freaks got in early. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and take a screenshot so you can say you got subscribed before we blew up, okay? Which we're planning on doing. So that's maybe we can have a conversation with the troll box and you freaks listening at home via podcast apps. Bitcoin YouTube. Should we contribute to it? Are we contributing to it right now?
Your fascination with YouTube is too much. We're gonna get banned off this platform so fucking quickly. Like, it doesn't matter. We will use whatever platform we can get to you guys on. I do not care about the YouTube algo. I do not think that YouTube algo is going to bring us any new listeners or watchers or whatever.
I think you're wrong there, but it's not because I'm like trying to blow up the YouTube channel for us, but to get in front of the bad information that is out there and persistent. Because again, bring it back to like the Clubhouse conversation from last night. Again, a lot of new entrants coming in, a lot of people getting scanned by these trader groups, quote unquote trader groups. Send me money. We'll put it in this bot and we'll give you back more sats.
Marty, the focus should be, we're building Rabbit Hole Recap. We're going to be with you freaks every week. If you want to be with us, we will be with you every week. We don't care what the platform is. We don't care if we get banned. We don't care what the fuck happens. We will be with you. But I'm telling you, Marty, that our YouTube is not like, we're not building our YouTube. This is not happening. It's not a thing that's happening. It is a means to an end. We will get to you freaks. If we will broadcast to you, however we have to broadcast to you, we will do it.
I'm gonna attack YouTube this year, freaks, until we get shut down. You know, I'm gonna do it.
Get shut down so quickly.
I don't know. I think you think we're more badass than we actually are.
Look, this is a great comment, and I'm going to adapt it because I don't think
we're not doing TFTC over Pornhub. I'm going to front run this comment.
You're front running my comment.
Yeah,
Marty is going to understand why
we're not Pornhub certified. I'm pretty sure you have to be certified.
Okay, Marty. Like if do you know the history of free speech in porn?
Yes, I'm pretty sure.
Free speech is important. Yeah, I mean, we have pretty much nothing to talk about, so we can just if the freaks have a question in the live chat, hit us with a question. Otherwise, I think we should just wrap this shit up.
Yeah, we should. We got no shout outs this week too, so not saying I didn't get to them. There were none. Don't blame you guys. Price is ripping. Everyone's a scammer, including us getting your shout outs. We warned you. Very fun part of the show. Very unhappy that we didn't get to do it today, but there's always next week. Look out for our interview with Jack Mahlers. If you guys are liking this, smash that subscribe button. Tell people to subscribe to get good Bitcoin information. Yeah. Thank you guys for joining us. Peace and love.
Stay humble, stack sats.
We're still alive. We're still alive, Matthew.